There is a dirty dozen of the worst pollutants found to cause health problems in humans. One such chemical is dioxin. Many countries around the world, for example the Netherlands, Ireland, and Belgium, have all recalled foods because they tested high for dioxin. In the USA, dioxin is conspicuously absent from the fourth National Report on Human Exposure to Environmental Toxins published in February 2012. Would you increase testing of foods to identify their potential hazards to our citizens?
Oh, yes, yes. I believe in the testing of all the food products that go out to the public. And if it raises the cost slightly, the cost should actually be taken off the back end, and that's profits from the corporate structure that's doing the final processing of these foods. It's nice to have cows grazing out in the open. Where I live, we have cows grazing out in the open. And big cities, and where they're really trying to make money, they don't. They don't care what they feed them. It's all about the money. But yes, we need to test everything. We need to label everything and everything we eat. Sorry, and the dioxins, the whatever other chemicals you'd like to name, except for mercury. I don't believe that harms anybody, and I'll tell you a story about that if you ever want to know. But we do need to label, we do need to test, and that's really about it.
Okay, Santa?
I think with dioxin and other chemicals, one thing that I think they should be regulated and actually prohibited. But there's another element when you put these chemicals together. People do test food, people do test chemicals, but what they don't do is test the interaction for the most part, and the same thing with drugs. So you have a lot of things out there which one agency or another might find relatively harmless or within a tolerable level. But if you put that together with another element or chemical, they have no clue what that does for the most part. I think the oil industry knows, I think the tobacco industry knows, I think a couple other industries do know, but they're not really sharing that information unless they're hauled or dragged into court to explain what they've been doing to the American public to its detriment, particularly children. And I know I mentioned you're that master gardener in your background, that you are a master gardener, and you've probably seen this more than any of us fellows here on the panel today. The impact a lot of these chemicals have on the resources that we use to stay alive, whether it's air or the food or the soil, etc.
Okay, Harry?
It's already a global contamination problem because of the laws of physics, like pouring cream into coffee. It's a very rapid reaction. It's called diffusion. And when you pour poison like dioxin and other pesticides into water, it ends up in our blood. It ends up in the air. It ends up worldwide. It's why even the polar bears in the Arctic are contaminated with thousands of these terrible poisons that were all made legal by lobbyists in 1970 during the Nixon administration when they were setting EPA up. Now they're in all of our blood, causing epidemics of cancer, autism, all sorts of neurological disorders, including dementia and Alzheimer's. We're paying a terrible price. And if we factored in the true costs, the medical costs of these poisons, no one could afford to use them. Oh, but we don't do that. We don't do that at all. We don't even test for them. The fact that we know these poisons are in our blood and our brains is because there are environmental groups that pay to have blood work done. It's not the government that's looking out after us. They're only looking out after the profits of these big corporations. That's what's wrong with our government. They don't care about the people. They care about the profits for rich people. That's only going to change if the majority of citizens are in charge of this government, which they are not and never have been. And only then can we really bring about the kinds of fundamental changes that we are talking about, where making poison would not only be unprofitable, it would be illegal, and you would be put in prison if you did it, if you poisoned other people and their land and their property.
Okay.